So I assume this is going to be a short painting because my battery is low. Hi, welcome to my multidimensional living room. We're gonna be, I'm gonna be painting energies. You're gonna be watching. I have something up. Where's my voice? Where's my vocabulary? What's going on? I am clearly not ready to speak after being silent. Okay, I will be painting energies. If something speaks to you, helps you orient yourself, navigate your life. If something helps you get some sort of energetic literacy so you can see things and understand things a little bit better, then that's great. And if it doesn't, then it might be for or from somebody else. Use your intuition and use your discernment at a given point in time. Okay. Again. Okay. I'll be patient. Or not. That was really sweet how this red behaved. It didn't come out as too much or not enough. That's one blue. I'll need another. No way. I don't have brushes here? That's insane. Okay, let's try this one. Yeah, this one works. Okay, so what I'm sensing and seeing is some sort of like a field calibration going on. On multiple levels at exactly the same time. At exactly the same time in your awareness. Because it's kind of like it's always happening whether you're aware of it or not. But now is the time when you're aware of it. So it's kind of like some fields within yourself are being increased and asked to expand, and some other fields are being decreased and asked to retire, grieve. Not necessarily kill, not necessarily die, not necessarily disconnect, disown and pretend that it was never there, but rather just recognize which role it has played up until now and just remove the authorship from it. Just don't let it run. Don't let it be the boss of your life, that part of the field. So it kind of just wants to be retired. It can still be present in loving memory or in the present moment, but without executive powers. So it's like a restructuring of self that is happening on multiple levels. So how that actually might demonstrate itself in the physical reality is that there might be somebody new entering your field that might have either like some sort of like an increased, I wouldn't say magnetism, but your curiosity towards that person might be activated a lot. Like they might even bring something that you don't have in your field yet, and it kind of asks you to educate yourself and to expand your horizon in order to be able to meet them. Or even if it's not something like information based, but it might be just something like a completely different frequency that they operate in. And it asks you to recalibrate yourself, to extend your own vibrational field in order to be able to hold them in your reality without flipping. So it might be somebody that contains either some sort of higher frequency or some higher visibility, or it might be even somebody coming from completely different field that you know nothing about. So seemingly like an unknown object, but suddenly this object is part of your reality and you need to know how to integrate it into your being. And to integrate it into your life, into your being, kind of requires you to step a little bit outside of your comfort zone, or just expand your horizon in terms of what do you think is possible, or what do you think is normal for you to experience in the fabric of your being. Simultaneously, that might happen simultaneously as something like from your past might be reactivated, and it's nothing about like anybody else around you, although it might be in relation to anybody else around you, but it's like a past version of self is being resurrected, and you thought that you outgrown that part and you don't operate this way, but for some reason operating from that part you find yourself by default in this field. It's like a field of you is being activated again. And you are now, through that activation, learning how to step out of operating through that field and choose another field that is more in congruence to where you're going, where you're becoming. How do you actually choose to operate versus what was given to you by default? That's kind of like a growing up phase of learning how to be a step up, level up version of life rather than something that you were conditioned into. So that might be happening at the same time. Then there might be also something that is happening that comes from the past again, but it's rather like it's not something that needs to be decreased, but increased. So there might be something that you've already encountered, but at the time you didn't have all the right tools and abilities and environment and the structure of self to fully integrate it and to fully put it in the fabric of your being as like, yeah, this is a part of me in my life. So it kind of revisits you again, because now you have a little bit more space for it. There might be also certain energies that are now available for you to activate them. Maybe previously in life you've been trying and trying and trying, and maybe you even gave up on this. You will know what it is. But it's now that you can actually activate it, because the structure of your being is solid or configured in a way that it can actually hold that energy that you asked to activate. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, and all of that is kind of taking place simultaneously in your awareness, or at least it appears to be so. I only have red and blue marker like this, but I wish I have a black one. So I'm just gonna do it like this. Yeah, I'm also getting that some of the dynamics that are, yeah, some of them, but I'm gonna explicitly for this example use the dynamics of conditioning that was given to you, perhaps in your family or culture or wherever you come from. That is now being reactivated versus what you're actually choosing and building for yourself. that dynamic or that field in which previously you have been operating is somehow like I don't want to use the wrong word, it's not holographically, but axisymmetrically kind of copied and pasted in another dynamic as well. So that field which you're trying to outgrow is being copy-pasted into another relationship where you might be seeing exactly the same dynamic playing out in your relation to your work or to authority of any kind. Might be government, or I don't know, what is your authority in life. That is not just your parents, partners, friends that seem to be really important to you. Yeah. So if you have some sort of like if I would come into your physical experience and be like, hey, what's up? And you would tell me, yeah, I'm having like an argument with a friend. That argument that is currently activated with your friend is basically kind of like a copy-paste of something, of some other dynamic that might be prior to that friend or even like parallel to that friend. It might be pointing you to the dynamic that actually was originally created with your parents or by your parents. And it might be pointing at the same dynamic that you might have with some other entity. Yeah, that also applies to extraterrestrial. Did I say extraterrestrial? Like other dimensional. Interdimensional entities that you might be stepping into contact with. And I guess the point of all of this is to you need to know your earthly business. That sounds so funny. You need to know your earthly business so that you know what not to project onto interdimensional beings when they come in contact with you, because they don't want to be your parents. They don't. So all this kind of like relational dynamics, you need to figure it out on Earth so that you can create some sort of like equal bandwidth of energy exchange with your guides or spirits or aliens, whatever you're communicating with, including your higher self. So that there is no this like helplessness on any side of the polarity, or in the, I want to say spectrum, but in the spectrum, helplessness definitely has its place. Yeah. I'm trying to paint, but too much information is coming to it. It's not too much, I'm not complaining. It also comes to me that when you gain awareness of what's going on within certain dynamics, you might also recognize that if there was like a particular dynamic in place at some point in life, like for example a relationship that took like 98% of your focus and awareness. Time for a break. Yep. Do I have my voice? Yeah. So if something was there to, I almost said overpower you, but there was a dynamic that took predominant field of your awareness. Like it was something that was just like you were so drawn into. It was the center of your universe for a moment. Moment being a few years. Now you might also notice how that was kind of a distraction. I'm feeling not so free to say, divine destruction. But it was a distraction of another dynamic that had clear and free access to you as you were distracted over there, which leads me into saying, if you're feeling obsessed, magnetically pulled towards something in a way that you feel like you have no other choice but to give your attention and energy in that particular direction, whatever that is, remind yourself to tap yourself on the shoulder from the behind, just so you get up your head a little bit and you look around and see if that's actually somebody's, like a parts of yourself, attempt to distract you from something else that might need you to outsource your power, or just allow clear access to something else to gain energy from you while you are distracted. And the reason why you would allow something like this to happen is because it's easier. It's easier to allow something like this to happen rather than to fully step into ownership of your own energy field and choose what to allow and what not to allow. Yeah. It's not that the interdimensional beings, it's not that they reject like some sort of earthly dynamics that might be helpful to you. Some of them are absolutely here to help you exactly with that. But the point of it is to bring you into a higher human form rather than lower reactive human form. That is kind of given. And this black little field from which I'm taking the black paint to spread it on all other is telling me that all is coming from the same source. I guess it kind of feels like a reminder to me rather than anything new that I could bring into this planet at this moment in time. That all the dynamics that are happening, even if they're happening with your parents and children and brothers and sisters and friends and and co-workers and bosses and employees and partners and potential partners and wannabe partners and failed partners and ex-partners and extraterrestrials and aliens and guides and future selves and past selves. And who else is there? All of that comes from you. All of it. And all these fields, they're being activated and reactivated and retired and expanded and lowered and heightened. All of them are happening within you. So whatever is happening in the outside reality is just basically showing you what's going on within you. I kind of wish I made a white background. I think that would look really cool. Yeah. And for some reason I feel inspired to say it doesn't need to be perfect, because this just like pieces of black paint that just went like this reminds me of this cracking of a vinyl. It's kind of like dust. It doesn't need to be perfect. So if you caught yourself descending into a previous octave of yourself or a previous field from which you operated, and you spent 4 days living there and operating from there until you realized that, uh-oh, I have other fields to operate from, and then you came out and you kind of went through a hangover of being there for a few days, and now you're kind of beating yourself up for it because you thought that you already transcended that, you thought you already overcame it, and now it's back again. It had to be back. Like, you don't need to be perfect. You don't have to. Films are made for not perfect people. Just like see your life as a film for a second and just realize that actually that relapse into your old field of being and old state of operating is actually what somebody would consider interesting. And if they would make a film about your life, they would probably choose that scene to center the whole storyline around, rather than the time of your life when you had your whole morning to evening routine perfectly executed without any disturbance on your path, because you're just so perfect. I'm really curious about what's gonna be like the major general theme or movement of cinematography 10 years from now. I'm really looking forward to that. This is it. I'm gonna leave it here. By the way, one of those past fields that got reactivated here in this painting is neon, which means that it's fluorescent. It's like if I would put black light on, we would see it differently, which tells me that that one field actually illuminates a lot of other fields that are happening at the same time. So from one field you can read what's going on in other fields as well. Maybe that also tells you something. Thank you for being here. If you want your own personal painting or reading or any other painting, the link is down below. Links are still what they are because, okay, let me do this.